CStar presents season 4, episode 2. I hope. We're here with Logan Spires. Is that your last name?
Yeah.
Logan Spires, Alternative Wavelengths, clothes, furniture, Mr. Basketball Table. Let's get a little bit of background or
Like background on me?
yeah. Was that a good introduction? What did I miss?
What did you miss? No, I mean, we can talk
What else
about
do you want people to know about you?
What else? I mean, frankly, I don't really care what they know about me at this point.
Okay.
But not in a bad way, but more like,
Not in a pretentious way.
it's more just like I guess I'm almost less interested in talking. I mean, obviously you got to talk about the background just to give people like a background for real. But I mean, as far as like, I don't know, once you've told your people like your 1 minute, bio, you're almost just like, it don't matter.
What
But
is there anything like specific to like your upbringing, childhood? Because I can cite some certain things that like haven't impacted me now, like to your art. I mean, like
to my art, I guess like that background. I mean, so that question, I would say like, I am super duper lucky to have a family that was always very encouraging. My mom is definitely like if you get to know me and then you like meet my mom, you're like honestly both my parents. It's like what did I was listening to Lil Uzi Vert yesterday. It was like, I got my looks from my mom, I got my swag from my pops. Like I felt like I like looked at that shit and like not even, but like,
and you got that lyric tatted.
yeah, definitely. It's like right here, like but nah, bro, for real. Like I feel like my parents were definitely influential to me, and especially my mom being hyper creative.
Okay,
and then instilling
they were artists?
in like, would you say?
They were artists.
I thought you said vape artist. I was like,
No.
nah, she wasn't a vape artist.
She wasn't smoking, blowing the clouds.
Blowing big clouds, big cotton. My mom, she's owned multiple businesses. Like she's done vintage furniture. She had a sewing business originally, like I think maybe even before I was born. She's just like serial entrepreneur, very like creative entrepreneur. And
was she like getting you hands on and that type of? I mean, because for one, it's like her business. For two, that's just like sewing is like a good thing to know as an adult. You know what I mean? Like in life, like that's just a good skill to have.
So I think I had a lot of exposure to it. But honestly, me and my mom, like, as much as we love it, we're both, like, incredibly, like, hard-headed, passionate, like, kind of control freaks. We both want to do shit, like, our way. So I had a lot of influence in, like, being able to watch and see that happen. But honestly, like, I taught myself, like, my mom didn't teach me how to sew. Like, I taught myself how to sew, like, at the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So, like I had kind of the exposure. And, like, my mom was definitely always, like, supportive of that shit. Like, you grow up and you're, like, painting an oatmeal container to make a rocket ship, just because when you're like 4, like that type of shit, Legos, all of that like creative mind expansion kind of play as a kid. I feel like that was
Legos really hit hard for everyone.
Dude, Lego, like some of y'all were on the Legos in his shows. Like like the Legos are one of the greatest tools to open a kid's imagination and just like I feel like when you see this generation of people in our age group and even a couple years up and down, I think you see these kids that grew up with these resources, whether it be something as simple as Legos, as complex as YouTube, and everything in between, to see how these people are using these tools to like develop and just like hit new heights. Like the average creative, I feel like in this era is like a all multi-hyphenates.
Polymath.
Yeah, like all that shit now. Like I feel like it's absolutely, we have more resources, so now we can go harder and do in different lanes are just like almost a given now.
So what was like, I guess as a child, what were you mainly focused in, like creatively? Like, did you have like a knack for like clothes? Like you have the clothing now, or like what was it?
So I would say always grew up like draw. I mean, I think drawing is probably the most accessible.
Okay.
I always like love to go to Michael's with my mom, look at art supply, just shit like that. I always liked it from the jump. But I would say, because I wasn't even I didn't even really get into clothes until probably like middle school, where you start like becoming more interested in like putting together outfits for yourself. Or before,
and
when
you
you're
kind of have a sense of like what stuff costs, so like what you can ask your parents for. You know what I mean?
And also just having a sense of like clothes in general. I went from like, I think I would just get either hand-me-down, whatever, and you're just like, it was cool, but you didn't have like, I guess like style prepreferences. It was like, oh, my mom got me a hoodie, that's cool. And then you get to, like, as you develop your own like sense of style and stuff like that. And then like high school, so I'm originally from outside of DC in like Woodbridge, Virginia, Woodbridge, Manassas area. That's where I'm originally from. So I was born and raised there till right before high school. And then my family moved out to Western Maryland, and it was like total culture shock. I didn't fit in there. Very like conservative, super like closed-minded and shit. So it kind of just forced me to be inward. So, I really look inward and kind of like, I spent a lot of time just like consuming streetwear on the internet. Stussy, or Stussy. Fuck.
I was about to be like, have I been saying that wrong?
No, I know I fucked up. No, I
was
fucked
like,
up.
what am I doing?
I was thinking about like the third brand that like Stussy. I was like Stussy, LRG, the hundreds. Like I had to get them all off. But yo, like looking at that stuff as a high schooler and just like learning about like different lunar lawn soles on shoes. And then when I got into, so my brother, he was another huge that's a huge creative influence for me. So especially like that, we were talking before, my brother's 9 years older than me. So like come, middle school, high school, he starts putting me on to all this cool music and shit, like the shit I'd never heard, stuff like that. So that was like super duper influential. And he had told me in high school about like screen printing or making shirts. And
So how'd he know about it? He have like a little thing at school that he learned?
No, he wasn't even like, he might have just known it from like, I don't know, just consuming media or something like that. It wasn't like a setup or anything. He first knew about it through like, honestly, taking manila envelopes and taking an X-Acto knife, and you're basically making like an old school stencil, and then you just like, I guess you would like paint it in. It wasn't even like, it was like the most rudimentary form of screen printing. But I think he might have done like a panda on a pair of Vans in high school, and I was like, this is, now, it's your older brother. You're like, oh my God, this motherfucker is Picasso, like shit, like, so that's going on, and then maybe high school, I think I had done maybe my sophomore year, I did my first screen print, like did it in my parents' basement. And I did a little here and there, a couple pieces throughout high school. But once I got to college, I feel like that's when it like kind of busted the door open.
Yeah, luckily for us, we had like a little program at school, like as shout out to Lansdowne High School. As people know, like that school was not the one, but they did have like so many hidden gems, and like our teacher, Mr. Nick, was one of them. So like he had like 2 full screen printing setups at his place, and he was also tapped into the screen printer down the street from our school, which he plugged us into eventually. So we got like, I don't even think I got to do, I don't even think I was part of that class, but just like I was always just in that environment, so I got plugged into it. Like luckily I had that, but it seems like you were more like doing it yourself, and like from your older brother, like learned a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of always been my style, is like I'm not, like if I have an idea. And I think that even goes back to that Lego thing of like when you start thinking without borders, like, or without like limits, it's like I didn't make furniture. I wasn't a furniture maker until I came up with the basketball table. Like, It's not like I sought out to be a furniture maker and I was going to design a table. It was just like, you have an idea, it happens to be this medium, and then you like go out and get it. So I feel like that's kind of always been my mentality of like, I don't give a shit what the medium is. Like, I'll figure it out if I really want to make it. Whether it be, I was telling you, like, working on a shoe project, working on like maybe like an artistic like ashtray, like a ceramic project this summer. Like really just trying to go into different lanes and stuff like that. And I don't know, that always kind of stems from just like being willing to teach yourself and like learn.
Yeah, and making clothes started in high school though. And then you said got more in depth in college.
Yeah, for sure. That's when
you went to Towson. Yeah,
I went to Towson. So I did a year of community college at Hagerstown Community College, and then I transferred to Towson. And yeah, I got into a screen printing class. Had an incredibly influential teacher named Jordan Bernier. I'm definitely gonna send this to you, Jordan. So I hope you're listening. But yeah,
what was your major?
I came in as a graphic design major. So the high school I graduated from had a graphic design program.
Oh, that's fucking hard.
So it was like a technical high school. So I went to there for 2 years. They had graphic design and multimedia. So I got like a little head start. Started doing a little freelance here and there. And then by the time I got to college, I think I kind of realized that like that wanting to like be a that need to be like a multi-hyphenate, or just the idea of pursuing this one lane of graphic design wasn't feeling like it anymore. So I switched to a general design path, and at that point I took like hella screen printing classes. I took a 3D design class. I took like a filmmaking class. Like I kind of got to make my own curriculum a little bit. And once I started alternative wavelengths in fall of 2015, so like my first semester at Towson, and it was just like, it kind of just started to make sense. It was like, I want this to be a platform that I can do all this different stuff. So I basically almost just like went to school to like basically do a better alternative wavelengths in a way,
And like what mediums were you, I guess clothes was the first one, then which ones were like really sticking with you when you were exposed to all these different like classes?
Realistically, I would say, so podcasting was actually the first medium. So before the alt wave radio, the podcast, that actually dropped spring 2016, and that dropped before even the first clothing collection.
I didn't even know about that. That's
yeah. So
what was that?
I mean, honestly, it's probably like not that far from what we're doing, but it just like going, creative people in the city. Baltimore is like, it goes without saying, like the amount of people that are doing cool creative shit in the city is like heavy. So, you like, and I'm not from here, I'm not from here at all. So that's honestly how I got tapped into the scene is like, I met the first episode was some homies back from out in Western Maryland, but the second episode was literally Android number 23 and Mild Sobriety, Miles Daniels. And we had met at an Amano Mari concert at, it's on Charles Street, Metro Gallery. Is that what it's called?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I might be misnaming it, but we met like outside of the show. We talked, hit it off. Maybe you follow each other on like Instagram or whatever. And they were cool. And then you meet those people. They tell you about someone else, and like, especially man, in this scene, so many people are looking for platforms that if you're willing to offer them one, like they'll at least fuck with you.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. I feel like at least that's what we're trying to do. Is like there's kind of like there's like a major platform missing. You know what I mean? Like there isn't one here. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a few people that have like really good personal platforms, and I feel like, I mean, I guess it was everything. Some people use that for good. Some people like are like really not even like they use it for they're like stingy with it, but like maybe they want to protect it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes you can probably overprotect it, but I mean that they built it, so they can do with it what they want. And at least for me, I always thought it's like, for me, I was like, the number one thing you can do is just help others like get to where they want to be. You know what I mean? Oh, definitely. And I mean I think one of the most important lessons you can learn is like if you're willing to like check your ego about being like top billing or top dog or number one at it, and you're willing to like really put like collaboration in mind and like the bigger purpose of like working with other people, it's honestly going to get you where you want to go faster anyway, because it's like the cross-pollination. Like even just something like doing this podcast, by being able to expose your independent audiences to a new person, and all it does is help everybody. And I feel like some people, I don't know, for whatever reason, they get caught up in, X, Y, or Z, and that doesn't work out. Also, sometimes like if one of the parties isn't coming correct, that's just like, that's not going to work either. Yeah. But the cross collaboration it's necessary. Collaboration though, like I feel like there's a difference between like collaboration and just like helping people out. Like I feel like a collaboration is like a lot more, like you have to take that, like it has to be a lot more protective and thought through. Like have you seriously collab with anybody yet? Like on like on like a big project, you know what I mean? Because I mean, like there's a difference between like we're just doing this podcast, but I'm also using collab a little loosely. Yeah, I think collaboration literally in terms of like two parties coming together, just meeting. But also like you are right though. There is definitely a difference between someone coming in like doing your podcast versus we're coming together to do a like collab. But to answer that question, honestly, I'm trying to think. I've done so much work and like not for sale work stuff with people that I think so, but honestly, the only commercial collaboration that is available that like I've done that's available right now is the Oh No Good, like these tote bags. Oh yeah, those just dropped too. Yeah, the Oh No Good totes that we premiered in Philly last weekend. Those were that's like the only, and that's between me and my good friend Orlando, who runs Studio La Rosa in Frederick, Maryland, who also has his side label Oh No Good. So he and I are actually, we've got some shit cooking up, but honestly, I've had like the collabs are really kind of coming. There's a lot coming this summer, honestly. Like a lot of summer's almost over. Is it? You gotta move. Is it? No, we're halfway. It's halftime, bro. We're halfway. It's halftime. I'm a second half performer, bro. Oh, okay. Fourth quarter is gonna be long for y'all. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not worried about that at all. Yeah, bro. I think all of our summer goals have been we just been moving that deadline like back and back and back. But as long as it's hot out, it's still summer. That's really like, I don't know if you've been checking the weather lately. Let's hope it's a humid October. But I sure fucking hope not. I need brisk weather. You know what I'm saying? So what was I guess what were like the influence you were taking on in college? Because like you go to college, you got exposed to like all these different mediums. Mm-hmm. What were some like the influences like as far as artist wise that you're bringing on? Like you got the Keith Haring tattoo, right? Yeah. So is that like a big influence for you? I mean, I think the style and the playfulness is super influential. Also, just his color theory, like I've always loved a lot of the colors of his work. But I don't know if I would say he's definitely an influence. I mean, I think part of it is because at the end of the day, he's a street artist. Like, as much as I liked his work, I was never gonna be that, Yeah. So whereas like and I've probably said this like a million times on podcasts, but the two biggest people that were influential to me were probably Joe Freshgoods. I don't know if you're familiar with his work. I do not like his work. So I'm not here to comment like about. I mean, honestly, I still fuck with his work. He probably made the ugliest New Balances I've ever seen. That's
that's neither here nor there. But back in
What's your opinion on New Balance?
What's my opinion? Are these the pink ones?
Yeah, the pink ones.
The pink ones, I think I might have had a reaction like that when I first saw them, but now after seeing them like make the rounds again, I'm like, no, these are hard.
I don't think I've consumed enough of like his art, but like I think I saw those New Balance. That's the first time I was exposed to him was those New Balances. So maybe like that just tainted my well because I'm a huge New Balance fan.
Also, like I don't know, man, you're coming in like if he was a rapper, you're coming in at like on the 6th album, whereas like I'm talking about when he was doing like Don't Be Mad. And Dope Boy, it was like Don't Be Mad, Dope Boy Magic. He did a fucking pair of, it was a hoodie and and shorts, and it was cut and sew made from polo bear towels, like, and that shit was vicious. When I saw like that, like when seeing that type of influence, where like obviously Keith Haring is cool, but it's like, yo, I've seen graffiti before in my life, but being like, yo, I've never seen someone take this object like a first off just a towel in general, let alone the fact that it's the polo bear, which to me, bro, I'm all about that low life. Like I fuck with like the cultural influence of polo. Like
you got the polo hat on right now.
Yo, always. So but I feel like I 100% like that really was like a big influence for me. Specifically, honestly, that piece specifically, like. I would say there may be other designers or something, and this is no shade at Joe Freshgoods. Like I got to meet him at a New York pop-up a couple years ago. Was so kind, was so cool. I think I even showed him the table. He was fucking with that. Like he was like, oh, I have nothing but love for Joe Freshgoods. But back then, that was something that really like kind of opened the door that like, yo, this is possible. And then the biggest influence for me, I don't know if you've heard of the Madbury Club, but this was a creative agency that went from like 2010 to 2018, and it was started by this guy Philip T. Anand, who I think he's originally from like New Jersey. He's a designer, and he honestly is like, he started making clothes in high school, turned it into this like studio thing, they've done like creative direction for Nike basketball, Gap, Timberland, like real like big players, but they had this unique aesthetic to it, and it was like, and they were making clothes, but they were also doing media, and it was like the branding was crazy, the design was crazy. It was just like everything. Like honestly, man, I feel like up until I really started to develop more of my own style, and like I just wanted to be that. Like it was just and I felt like, and there would be these instances where like, let's say he was dropping a collection, right? I was working on my own summer pack for my own brand. We would come out with like the same colorways or some shit. And it's like, he doesn't know me, I don't know him. It was just like, I felt like for whatever reason, he was, and he's several years
connected.
Yeah, like I just felt like he was tapping into my brain in a weird way. Like, and I think that was so cool, is like, because I feel like if you look at the Madbury against the lineup of all these other like brands and stuff, I don't really know. I really can't name another studio that is like them, unless it's like maybe a studio that started after they came out, which is probably directly influenced by them. Like I really think they were on their other shit, like they're on some other shit. And so the Madbury Club and Philip T. Anand were by far the biggest influence. And Joe Freshgoods. Really that, I think, but really like just seeing his work, seeing someone do cut and sew. Also just like, shit, seeing this like cool dude do cut and sew, and like at that time, it was literally, I only knew of sewing as like some shit at Joann's, like sewing was not nearly as cool as it was now. So just seeing it like, oh damn, I don't have to be like a tailor to sew. I can just like do it.
Yeah.
That was big,
I mean, I gotta look more into it. Like I said, I saw those New Balances, I got turned off, and then like I also seen another pair that hasn't released yet, his V3 990s, turned off even more. So I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely like harsh on New Balances though. But have you seen Nicole McLaughlin's work? Like she's the girl who like
Nicole
makes weird shoes out of like bags and stuff.
So I remember. She might only had like a couple thousand at the time. No, I found Nicole McLaughlin's work, and that's like, honestly, I almost have to be, like chill. I have to like chill out when I look at her work, because she has had not like no ripping or anything. Like obviously like she's doing her own lane, but like she was doing. Like I saw her releasing pieces of shit that I had ideas for in high school.
Oh, this guy.
So like when I not like I did and not just, but guess what? You know the difference between her and me? She made it, I didn't. Yeah, so it's like there is no type of shade, but it's one of those people that like when I see her, it's almost like as much as I admire her work and think she's cool, and whenever I see her, I'm like, yo, I gotta get back on it. Like it's almost like instant like I need to get back in the lab.
Instant kick in the ass.
Instant kick in the ass, because she goes so hard. But it wasn't like no petty shit or nothing like that. But definitely like when I see her work, like she early before she really popped, she did a pair of it was pants that were made from ski jackets. And that was a piece that, like,
I think she also did some pants or some
she's
shorts.
not, I mean,
polo. She did polo shorts, I think, too.
I remember that with all the different polo logos. But those specific ski pants, because that, like, I don't know, 90s technical outerwear, like all that stuff, I love. Like, I always loved that stylistically. So when she did that, and I think they were like forest green and maroon too. So even the colorway was icy. I just remember seeing that, just like, I gotta get on my ass. Like, I gotta get on my ass. Like, I've had these like big jackets in my closet for like a couple years, and I've thought about doing a project. It's one of those where you just like, someone's like going in and you're like, damn, I need to step up. But yeah, no, I love Nicole McLaughlin's work.
What type of media, like, art do you probably like consume the most of? Is it mainly like just looking at clothes for inspiration, or like reading, like what type of music? Like what
I do now, or what do you
mean? I mean, I guess like maybe you can go back to college or like high school, but I guess like mainly now. Just like overall, like what avenue of media do you consume most for like inspiration, or just?
Ooh, now? Okay. I mean, I guess starting out, I remember one of the things that was cool was in high school, I think my mom got me like for like my birthday, she got me a subscription to Juxtapose magazine. And that was like it's like a street art magazine, but it was just one of those things where, like, especially going out and being out in Western Maryland, there was no art scene there or anything. Like, I was not to be completely honest, I was not getting inspired by anyone that I was around. Like, but like it was not happening. So really all my inspiration was coming from the internet. But I got a magazine, I think like a magazine. Honestly, having an older brother, that also helps, when just your older brother is like, yo, you gotta check this out, and you're like, what the fuck, like. But I would say, like, nowadays, it's definitely like, I mean, Instagram. Honestly, I like getting a lot of inspiration from real life, man. Like, I'll go on a walk, and you'll see like a painted. This happened literally like 2 days ago. I was going on a walk, and I was walking through the alley, and I just saw like 2 flower pots, but they were both painted, and one was like teal and purple, and the other was like a dark blue and a green. There was another, and I was just like, ooh, that's a fire palette. And I think that's honestly like, that's what I think that's my favorite form of inspiration. But obviously, like, I'm a 20-something that spends way too much time on the internet. So like, Instagram is the easy one, like, just because you're on there so often. But even then, like, I think the coolest forms of inspiration are like the not as, like, I don't know. It's like, and also sometimes, if I see too much inspiration on Instagram, it just like burns me out, And
you'll start like subconsciously, possibly like just doing too much of it.
Emulating that, you're comparing yourself to shit you don't need to compare yourself to. Just doing stuff that isn't helping you in the long run. Or like I would much like, I like the idea that, like, I was able to find these pots, and like I'm definitely gonna integrate those color schemes into something down the road. And I find something like,
you just got everything stored in here. You ever like write stuff down?
Oh, I definitely write stuff down. I'm like, the past like year or two, I've definitely gotten worse, but I'm a big like to-do list person. Jot down like little ideas or designs, or like, yo, here's a photo shoot idea, and trying to jot down the notes. A lot of it is in the head.
When's it usually coming to you? Like,
what?
When's it usually coming to you? Randomly?
This is like, not to sound like any type of like dickhead or anything. I am assaulted by it. Like, I have like intrusive levels of ideas. I'm just.
Is it all times of the day though?
All times of the day.
Oh, bro, for me, I'd rather have that. Like, my number one time for fucking ideas coming to me is when I'm trying to fucking go to sleep. And I told you, like, I make sure my phone's not near my bed, so I gotta get out of bed, because I'm like, I can't forget this. I gotta get out of bed multiple times a night to go write down something in my phone, and then it fucks up my whole sleep. And I'm like, at some point, I'm just like, if these ideas are good enough, I'll remember them later, and I just go to sleep.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to like make peace. And also, like, I do feel that way, where like so many go in and out, but like, bro, I smoke heavy. I have high ADHD.
Bro, I don't know how people like smoke and then get shit done. I'm like,
but it's like, bro, like, I don't know, because one, like, my brain is just wired differently. Like, literally, I'll work 20-hour days while like inhaling depressants all day, and I still have this level of it. It's just like, it just works for me. Like, most people I know like do not do this, and and like if they did, they would just be stuck. Like, most people, and I think it's all about what is right for your own body. But for whatever reason, man, like, if it comes to, busting it down, it's no problem getting work done, smoking. Like, I find that's like a huge part of my creative workflow, to be honest.
So I guess like your process is just random ideas come to you from any type of inspiration, and then like how do you gauge on what to do next? Like, do you have just like is it clicking like, oh, this is the one I do now, or do you have, like you said, you have a to-do list? Is that like really generated in a way it's like priority on there, or is it just kind of just free
I would say it's definitely organic, because honestly, like, I link up with so many people. We might come up with an idea, and like so many, I mean, just this week, I think like at least 3 or 4 new projects that like when I woke up this week I had no intention of doing just come about. Like, it's just literally, so then it really comes like, this is where you have to be on like your general manager shit and just figure out how to organize things. And honestly, especially when it's something that involves other people, it can just go down to basically who's ready to work and who's not. It's like, I might be down to work on projects with 10 people, but if 4 are loafing, they're not like, I'm gonna hit up the other 6, or vice versa or whatever. So I would say, like, honestly, like, other than,
so is most of your work collab work then?
No, I mean, I don't know, like, it depends. I guess like collab. I guess again, I'm using collab differently. Is like I like bouncing my ideas off people or something like that, and I might come. And honestly, it may not be a collab, but like the other day, I go hang out with my friend at his house, and I see a chair of his, and I was like, shit, what if I reupholstered that? And it's literally like that, where you just see the chair, and it's like the chair kind of looks like it needs to be reupholstered. And what if I painted the legs? And now here, and then like, and then I had an idea to maybe turn it into like a bigger project, and it's just like. I don't know. I didn't wake up with any of that intention. It's just like, I think honestly, and kind of going back to that original Lego conversation, I think in these developmental stages for kids, if you are looking at the world through a certain lens, like that Lego lens of like, what can I build out of this? If you look at a box of Legos, that's like that's the goal in a way.
Yeah.
So I feel like, now as I say this out loud, I feel like that mentality kind of never left, which is why I love working in multiple mediums. I like ideas come wherever. I just think it's like, it's almost just like the lens at which I choose to view the world through, if that makes sense.
Was the basketball table the first dive into furniture for you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think, but again, I think like I might have had.
Do you consume a lot of like furniture, like inspiration? Do you like just stare at chairs all day, or what?
No, I mean, now obviously there's like the classics, when you get into like mid-century design. Also, my mother's in interior design, and she owned a vintage furniture business.
You owe everything to mom.
What?
You owe everything to mom at this point.
Point blank.
She put you on everything.
First and foremost,
Everything
I owe
to
everything to mom. Like, Robin, you are a real one. Like I like point blank. Like, but as far as also being able to grow up in my mom's business, where like the amount of furniture that like came and went in our house, or like in our storage unit or whatever. You also just get like so in a way actually I have like it was none of it was purposeful, because a lot of it was like, you're a teenager and your mom needs you to help move furniture, and that's what you're doing. But like you are in a way like you are consuming shit. I have consumed tons and tons of furniture and tons of interior design. So honestly, now looking back in the therapist session that this is, like, yeah, I would say I actually have consumed a lot of furniture in that regard, and that like now I think maybe inspires me a little more to like be willing to work in those mediums, You
ever feel like, because you started our turn way like we started to just like explore different, like a bunch of different mediums. Do you ever feel like there's kind of like a downside to that? Because like we kind of do almost the same thing, but like sometimes I'm like, we do too much. You know what I mean? Like, and I wish maybe I would just focus on one thing and be known for that. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I'm like, if I just did that, then like it would be harder to branch out to other stuff, or like it wouldn't be harder, but it'd be like. It might not hit the same, you know what I mean?
No, there is, and honestly, even my mom would tell me this is like, you have to specialize one day in something. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm like obstinate as fuck, but
it's
like,
just our generation, like we were saying earlier, like they want to do everything.
I think it's definitely one part that, and I think for me personally, it's like, I kind of like, because it is harder. You're right. It is 100% harder. If you stick to one lane and people can define you, it's easier for them to process. It's easier for them to fuck with you. But whereas like when you do all these different things, like I have people approach me all the time that are like, what the fuck do you do? Like they have no idea what I do.
And that's the downside.
But to be honest, maybe it's because like I'm all about the slow burn of my creative development. I'm like, I kind of like that, man. Like I like the fact, like I'll do podcasts and stuff. I'm not like hiding my identity. But honestly, like for the most part, if you look at the studio and you don't know me, you might think it's run by this large collective. You might think it's this group of people, a team, something like that. And I kind of like that, and I almost like going against the grain. And it is harder. It's more of an uphill battle. But I think almost like I kind of like that, and I kind of like to me, I find it more fulfilling. Like my goal is to show people that like creatively, my bag is deep like Kyrie. That's really like what I'm out here trying to do. And even if it's harder, like there's something so much more fulfilling when I can like look at the different types of shit I've done. That is like way more fulfilling than like, oh, people are really fucking with me off the t-shirts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I just think like that's just way more of a focus to me.
I don't know how we haven't talked about this. I mean, we kind of have indirectly, but like even like I guess your biggest influence would probably be basketball, because I mean you've done the clothing and the furniture around basketball. So I mean I don't know how we haven't brought that up yet, but
No, that's fine. That is funny. No, definitely. Honestly, basketball, it didn't really become basketball was always around growing up, but it wasn't really a big influence until probably high school. Mm-hmm. And then going into my senior year, like I didn't make any basketball related work until my senior year. And I had to do like a, senior thesis kind of thing. So like so obviously being in art school, it's way more of like one collection that's kind of like cohesive and shit. And that's where mid-range, you know, the creative developments and the art of getting buckets, that's where I came up with that. So I had done like political, satirical kind of humorous work before throughout college. And it was stuff that was like definitely more like joke related and the clothing stuff. But I think I wanted to pursue something that wasn't as serious. So the idea of basketball kind of interested me. So that's really where I would say like my senior year of college when mid-range started is really where like basketball started to become a creative influence. But like obviously throughout high school and college, like I'm watching the finals, I'm watching games, but it was more just like that, like it really didn't kind of cross into my creative life until like 2018. So about 3 years ago. And that's when the Obama jersey came out, those first couple hoodies and shorts came out, the t-shirts, the mid-range table, all that shit. That's kind of when it first started to like, basically I started making work about basketball.
Yeah, I mean, and then I really fuck with that color palette. You got the little, is that like your main color palette?
Yeah, I would say like the pastels are definitely a reoccurring like creative motif. So this was a private label collaboration between Sophomore Coffee. They're a coffee shop that's like up the block from me, and you know, shout out Chris, everyone there is fucking awesome. That's like my local coffee. That's like my local coffee shop. Like,
spot.
Yeah, for sure. That's like I pretty much only drink, like if I'm buying coffee and not making it myself, I'm pretty much only getting it from there. That's the team. So we did a private label collaboration where I took their logo and I got these black pocket t-shirts, and we did, each one is a one of one. So it's like, so they're actually kind of like hand painted and printed. And then for all of them, they actually have their name embroidered on the sleeve. So it was just, it wasn't for sale, and it was just something for like for the staff. But yeah, so that I would say, yeah, the creative, those pastels are for sure a reoccurring, you know.
Is there any like food inspirations in your life? Like food's an art too, you know what I mean? So
food is an art, but I feel like I mean, obviously it's different. Like if you got, you know, a girl or a partner or something, and you want to cook for them. But I feel like because I do
not even you cooking, just like
it's food.
What's on the intake? Yeah, what's on the intake,
bro? I'm like, so when I'm like a textbook workaholic, and one of the first things for me to like fall away is like I'll just stop eating. Like I stop eating enough. I stop eating healthy. It just turns into like whatever's quickest. Yeah. You might get like frozen pizzas for sure got me through college. Like no cap, because I was like, there was this time period. My family didn't even tell me until after the fact. They thought I was gonna kill myself because I was working like 20-hour days for like months at a time. Just like going to college, working a job, doing the alt wave stuff, and I was so just like I would wake up, like I wouldn't go to bed till like 4, and you're just drinking like, and you're at that point I wasn't like eating right either, so you're just like you're getting vending machine shit, drinking like energy drinks, drinking hella coffee. I remember being on like 7 cups of coffee one time and just like falling asleep in class or something, and just like your stomach's so acidic from all the shit you put in your body.
Yeah, I can't even do that. Like once if I'm falling asleep in class, I just leave and take a walk. I'm done. I tap out.
No,
my worst thing is falling asleep in class.
That was literally the only time I ever fell asleep in high school or college. Like it was just like I just don't have a good. I mean, it's gotten better as I've gotten older, but like when I was younger, I really, really, really struggle with like boundaries in that regards. Like just the idea of like, I don't know, it's like 10 o'clock.
Time boundaries.
Time management for sure. I will the first thing I will cut out, like I won't cut off friends, I won't cut off family, I won't cut off work. I'll just like cut off my sleep. Okay. So it'll be you'll be out till 4 and you're just up at 7.
And then they thought you were about to cut off yourself.
No, exactly. Yo, people they thought I was going to like work. My family like literally thought I was going to work myself to death. Like, and and they told me that like after like a couple months after the fact. It ended like I think I had like just a breakdown. Like I finished the semester or something, and I just
fell asleep on the couch for 3 straight days, and they were like,
dude, I don't think I did anything creative for like a month. That was another problem too. Is the burnout. Is like I would just basically run my tank into the ground, and then it would be like like especially when I was in college, basically that whole off season, like semester break or winter break or summer break or whatever, I was just like not doing anything. When really, you know, if you're in college, that's your time to, you know, make moves. But I would just like, I would burn the candle at both ends.
Are you sure though? Because like at least for me, like I be trying to do that, but then it's like college is like creative too. Or at least like for like you had an art major, like yours went hand in hand. What I do at college is not hand in hand with what I do here. So like it's I don't know, for me it's like it's even harder. It's still like creative, I guess kinda. It's mainly more like writing, but it's like I have such a hard time balancing it, and like I usually pick this over school. I mean my grades never really suffer. I get good grades and stuff, but it's like I don't know. That's probably my biggest struggle.
Oh, what time it? Like just giving a fuck about school?
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it was easier for you because it was like art, and then what you did was the same thing. Like school, they like intertwined. But like for me, it like I don't have intertwined. It's like pretty fucking different shit as well.
Oh yeah, it definitely is not gonna, you know, motivate you or anything. Like, yeah, I was always like motivated to do school. Just the problem was I was just like doing too much. Just always.
Did you value school a lot? Because I hate the conversation. It's like, oh, school's not for me. It's like. It might not be, but like you still shouldn't like shit on it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like school's for everyone. It's just if you don't want to do it, just don't do it. You know what I mean? I don't think school is for everyone, but I would say I do value learning is for you know what I mean? Like you don't have to go to university.
But also school isn't the only place you learn.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know
no, I think learning is for everybody, but school isn't for everybody. There are some people that like school. The structure of school is not for them. But if you put them in an auto shop, and then they'll cook.
You still gotta go to like a trade school for that. Like it's still school. Where they say that, then they'll join the military. You still gotta do like a year of school in the military.
Then I guess then now you're using school like a little loose, where it's like I guess when I'm saying school, I'm talking about like higher education, like because like most people. Like, I feel like most people can complete high school. Obviously, I mean, honestly, that's kind of even crazy for me to say. I don't fucking know. I completed high school as easy as fuck for me. For some people, it's unbearable. So, like, I have no idea what is or isn't. But, no, I feel like learning is for everyone. But, I mean, everyone has their own path. I think that if you are going to go to school, you should take it seriously because school is basically just a business loan on yourself. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think that if you're going to take a business loan on yourself, maybe don't fuck around with the business. But I also think school is like a scam. It's like mad overbloated, like all of not scam. It's just like you're paying for so much shit you don't need for like the sake of the college experience. Where if you're just trying to like I don't know, I didn't even really feel like a college student in my time because once I came up with the alt wave, man, like personally, I was like, I'm an artist just getting through school so I can do my thing. Like that's how I really felt internally. It was like like I went to school, but I felt like an artist. Like I felt like I was trying to like, especially like starting a brand. You know, being in those art classes and people are hearing you about sell your shit. It was weird. I was like too creative for like the businessy people, but I was like too businessy for the creative people, you know, because a lot of those people are going to be gallery artists or things like that. And I'm trying to like figure out streetwear and figure out, or like how do I inject my art into streetwear and like, you know, and stuff like that. So I never really felt like a college student as much as I just felt like a dude who was like using my college facilities to make shit.
Yeah, but I feel like those labels are like what limits people so heavy because like at least for me, like I guess I probably feel like a lot of the same, but it's like at the same time it's just for some people like school is just a whole nother universe when they step into it. For me it's like they're all like overlapping. Our one friend Mahmoud is always like, you gotta separate school life and personal life and work life. I'm like, bro, those are all the same three life, you know what I mean? And I feel like when people separate stuff like that, I feel that's when it really like fucks them up. And then they're like, oh, I'm not a school person, or oh, I fucking hate my job. Like,
but I think separating work, school, and business, I don't know if that's what he means. To me, separating work and business life is like if I came into this interview and I was like all messy from some shit that was going on in my life.
We can talk about it, you know what I mean?
Obviously in the context of a podcast, but let's say it's not even some shit to talk about. Let's say like.
Yeah, but even if you weren't messy, but mentally you were messy, it's still gonna be on the camera. You know what I mean? It's still gonna come out with your words.
Exactly. Like at the end of the day, to me, it comes down to not being prepared to do what you need to do, regardless of what that label is. So I think that's kind of what it takes more of like the idea of separating them is, you know, whatever baggage I have going on emotionally or internally, it is not to affect what we're doing right now. That's how I take it, at least, is like that's part of like just professionalism, you know? Like if you're gonna ask someone else for their time, like use it wisely.
Maybe I just like seeing shit crumble. I don't know. I'm more of like if you are like going down, like you need to like burn, like you need to crash and burn, but it can be a good crash and burn. You know what I mean? Like I guess that's just me. Like I never want to hide my failure. to a certain. I guess that's not really what you're saying.
Yeah,
but it's
because
like,
I'm
I
not.
don't care like if my failure is like publicized. You know what I mean? Like, cause that's my journey. Like some people are like really self-conscious. I mean, everyone's self-conscious. I'm self-conscious, but it's like
No, of course.
it's like I don't ever want to like hide. I know you're not saying hide it, but I'm like, I guess I'm more like vocal with like what's going wrong to a certain extent. And I feel like that could just be like a tactic. I'm like, oh, I beat you to the joke almost. Like, oh, like this is what I fucked up. Maybe that could be kind of what I'm saying, but
I mean, one there's a lot of power in owning up to your mistakes, because that really like once you do that, you really do strip.
You take the power away from it,
and not even necessarily the person. Maybe it's your own guilt. You know, you've done the right thing, but I mean more like there is like obviously there's value to being like raw and shit. But the older I get, I used to think when I was I feel like I would definitely have crazier energy when I was younger, because I was not thinking about how maybe other people would receive what I was saying, what other things like that. And I feel like there are certain, I'm sure there are certain relationships that due to like being looser with my words, now obviously nothing crazy, but maybe, you know, you're making a joke, maybe you rub someone the wrong way or whatever like that, like that affect, you know, that sits with people. So I just find that even though like joking is a little different than what we were talking about, the idea of like not letting your personal problems affect your work. Like there's a difference between like hiding it from people. Like if I'm down bad, like I'm not gonna like deny the situation I'm in. But I do think, especially when you're again like with other people too, especially people like if you don't know them that well or something like that, like the more successful and the more like driven people you fuck with, they have like a low tolerance for that. Like I know plenty of people that like,
oh no, I definitely
you do that off one meeting and you're not hanging out again. You know, so it's like that's another thing too, is just like making sure you're moving correct within the spaces you're moving.
I guess I have a really high tolerance for it, but like I call it out immediately. It's just like if it doesn't change, I just learn to deal with it. But I mean that's just because like I just want everybody to succeed. So that might be my downfall eventually.
No,
but,
I feel that. I honestly I have a pretty low tolerance. Like personally, I have a pretty low tolerance to that. When people start wasting my time, I'm like immediately like not interested, significantly less interested, and then maybe give it one more chance, and after that, it's like all right,
I gotta get more like you. I think I'll learn with age, but I got a few more years before I guess it starts really fucking me over. Yeah, any topics we didn't cover you want to hit real quick?
I mean,
yeah, I mean you can ask me you can interview me now.
And now I have to interview you. Shit, man. How are you feeling about your podcast moving forward? What's your biggest takeaway? How long have you been doing it?
Fuck. Freshman year of college, Ebenezer? No, we'd had one senior year of high school, but that was like a different type. It was just us.
How long have you been doing this? This
one, freshman year of college, Ebenezer? Yeah, freshman, and we're going into senior year, so we're like 3 years.
Okay, so what do you think the best thing what do you think like is the best thing about the podcast, or what do you think you've gotten the best at?
I've gotten the best at I don't know. I feel like I've gotten so much worse at podcasting. Like
really?
Worse, like because like now I used to be able to just like I'm just fucking honed in on a conversation. Like now I'm just like you say something and like I'm paying attention to what you're saying, but I'm like, bro, like what about over here? Like the idea just stems into something else, and then I have to like fucking bring it back to like ask you the next question because I can't really go there yet. You know what I mean? I feel like I've gotten like kind of worse at that, but that's also because I've been doing all the virtual ones, and like when you're virtual, you're just like in your room and like all you have to do is focus on them. So like it's kind of hard. Like in here, like in the environment, we're all in the same room. It's a little bit different. I don't know. I find it kind of hard to stay focused than on the virtual ones, but like I'm still focused on you. It's just like I gotta like hold the question until it's time to ask, and but I don't know. Over the 3 years, it's I fuck with it every time. Like we've been taking like such long breaks between. I'm like, oh my god, how much longer are we gonna keep doing this? Like, are we gonna be able to keep doing this? And then like every time I have a conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I do it, because it's like one of the funnest things to do. It's just like talk about when you talk about people who are like and what they're passionate about. It's like amazing. You know
yeah, you can get people to tap into like give you like just a real sense of themselves, or you know.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
And it's like as long as there's good guests, it's always gonna be fun. You know what I mean? But
absolutely.
I say that like you're a good guest. So
oh no, I appreciate that.
Thank you for coming on.
Yo, thank you so much. Thanks for having me, bro.
And we'll fucking end it.